For the last time in 2025, it is game day. Get your horns up. And since it is game day, get your favorite Cheez-Its. We got the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl coming up here at 2 o'clock local time, 3 Eastern. I am Jeff Howe. He's Bobby Burton. He's Jerry Hamilton. We'll be taking you through our tailgate show here on Texas Football. It's brought to you by our friends over at Tito's Handmade Vodka. Bobby will tell you a little bit about Tito's here in a minute. But, guys, let's set the table with this. Jerry, we were talking before we went live here, and I think the point we all shared is maybe my biggest concern today. Which one of these teams really cares to be here today?
That a bowl theme, not the college football playoffs, is who is really has the most on the line, who wants to be there the most. I do think that matters. I will say this, and I think Bobby would agree, and CJ would agree if he was here. CJ and I went to multiple media windows, not long. Bobby went to one. There's not a lot of energy at the practice. I think on game day, the energy arrives for bowl games like this. Look, obviously, Texas wishes they were in the playoffs. Michigan's got a lot of stuff going on. I think they're playing for real pride over there as a program. But I think the energy will arrive today on game day for the Texas players. I think it's a great opportunity for some young kids today for Texas. I think it's an audition for, even though Will Muschamp's not going to be in attendance or it's not expected to be, an audition for Will Muschamp defensively. But it really does. There really is a want to about these games, I think, with where we're at with all the opt-outs and all the questions. Who's still maybe going in the portal, all the things, because you have agents talking to players, right? Are you going to stay? Are you going to go? There's a lot going on around these bowl games outside of football. But I do think that who wants it worst and who can get the most meaning out of this game it matters in an extreme way.
Yeah, I think you're right in that category, Jerry and Jeff, that you have to want to win, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think Sark, to your point, Jerry, I think Sark said all the right things in not just in the media press conference yesterday or day before, but all week long. Yet here we are, day of the game, and I think we're going to be down. Longhorns going to be down 8 starters from what they played against Texas A&M the last time they went out. Now, I will say there's a converse to this where you're talking about, Jerry, about what do you got to play for versus a Michigan program that's been in shambles, essentially, and trying to be rebuilt from the ground up with some pretty good pieces, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, Bryce Underwood and some of that offensive line, really good pieces. But I look at this also in Texas played really well against Texas A&M, in my opinion, the last time these guys went out there and played football. And so they have to build, in my opinion, if you're Arch Manning and you're the leader of this football team, you're Colin Simmons, you're the leader of this football team and going to be in 2026, you have to build off of that. You have to build momentum into 2026. You can't just sit back and let it come to you. Now, the reality of it is these are two very talented teams. You can say what you want about Michigan and all this other stuff, but they have talent on that team.
Yes.
Just like Texas does. And we're going to have to see whose talent wins out. The reality of it is the Big Ten right now doing pretty well in bowl games. The SEC, not so much.
Yep.
And so could it have been the SEC overrated a little bit this year? We'll see. I think this is going to be one of those games where the two go head to head. But certainly an interesting matchup today. And I'm hopeful the Longhorns bring it home, and Jerry and Jeff's concern about who wants it more potentially could be quieted. But we'll see how it goes. We got about 2.5 hours now, 3 hours almost until the game kicks off.
Well, Jerry, you were talking before we got on. There's been some line movement in this game. I don't know if Vegas got word that Biff Poggi's decided to coach this game without sleeves, or he's planning on going Hulk Hogan style and ripping them off in the tunnel. But this line is starting to shift a little toward Michigan the closer we get to kickoff. Yeah,
no, it is. It was at one point, I think it was up to 7.5. It's now 7. I think this morning when I actually put the game thread up on Texas Football, the line was at 7. It's down. I think it was down to as low as 5. It's now 5.5. That total, obviously, 48.5. I do think this will be a high-scoring game because, look, Texas without 7-8 defensive starters, level players, and Michigan's without their best pass rusher. They have to replace 10 sacks and a number of other defensive players, probably 4 starters from the Northwestern game. Cheez-It.
magically appearing on our screen. It's a Cheez-It head. It's
I'm feeling
actually
pretty cheesy, guys.
Yeah.
Look at this thing.
Here's
Man, this is fantastic.
Here's the thing with CJ. He's been wearing that all week, not just today. This is the first time he's put it on for a show.
Look at this thing. I look awesome. Now it's gone.
can't keep that hair. Hey, CJ, you can't keep that hair back. I see you down there at the tailgate tents, etc. What's your vibe for this game a little bit? How many people are out there? We had our party yesterday there in Orlando as well. Had about 7,500 people come out. A lot of fun. What's your vibe there on the actual Citrus Bowl grounds?
Yeah, people say this is like the Mecca of bowl games. I mean, I'm agreeing. This is a fantastic atmosphere out here. Of course, the Camping World Stadium has multiple bowl games out here. So, I mean, Texas Michigan fans, they're enjoying it out here in the tents, the tailgate area. They know how to put on a party, if you will, out here in Orlando. So I'm having fun. I'm feeling cheesy. And ultimately, I'm excited to see what a lot of these young Texas Longhorns can do this afternoon.
CJ, there's been – go ahead, Bobby.
No, that's fine. Go. I'm sorry, Jeff.
We talked a lot about some of the young guys that have gotten run in the bowl practices, CJ. I know Bo Barnes is probably going to have – and Sark even talked about it yesterday – probably had the best opportunity of any of those young guys. But any of the guys that we haven't seen a ton of this year that you're looking forward to watching today?
Yeah, Bo Barnes comes to mind, obviously. But beyond him, I mean – I want to see a young wide receiver. I think we all kind of want to see a young wide receiver. That room is very crowded. We know that there's a lot of talent in that room. But look, we've sat here and talked about the high rankings coming in as true freshmen. There's a spot open with no DeAndre Moore in this game. Is that only going to be for Dalen McCutcheon? We'll have to wait and see. Or can we get a Jamie French or Khalid Lockett sighting out there as well? Who knows? But ultimately, there's plenty of opportunity. And, of course, Michael Terry. I'm very excited to see what he can do today as well.
Hey, CJ, what are the crowds like? Texas, Michigan out early on. I know you've been walking around perusing the tailgating. Who's showing up? What are those? What's it looking like?
We'll talk about showing up right now.
Team
right
bus.
Behind me, you see team buses coming in at the moment. So they got the police escorts. They got the decked out, buses out there as well. Sorry for the wind, but no, everything for me has been basically 50-50 for what I've seen today. Michigan fans are out here in full effect. Texas fans, a lot of orange. A great color game, by the way. So there's a lot of expectations, a lot of excitement. Fans are enjoying the Cheez-It Bowl.
Hey, CJ, let's talk a little bit about those running backs that you mentioned, because Trey Wisner's gone. Cedric Baxter's transferred out as well. That leaves, obviously, Christian Clark, James Simon, and Michael Terry as the three guys you spoke about. Your thoughts on that beyond just Michael Terry? I mean, are these guys going to be able to pass protect? Or are they going to be able to run the rock? I mean, Michigan's got a pretty stout D overall.
No, of course, anytime you get an inexperienced or young running back, that's one of the big questions is, will they be able to pass protect? How often and how much are you going to be able to use them outside of just handing them the football? I don't know. And I think that's one of the big questions that we'll figure out today is, moving into 2026, can you rely on a Christian Clark or James Simon or Michael Terry to sit there and be an extra bonus for you in the passing game outside of being targeted? So I don't know. It's one of the big question marks for me today, Bobby. But ultimately, look, it's one of those things. And that's, again, what I'm excited to see is we'll get answers to a lot of questions today that ultimately we would have had to wait till about spring to even get an idea about.
You're muted, Jeff A.
It's an honor, Blake Monroe, since Blake's not here. I had to do it. CJ Rod and I were talking about it on the live stream last night. The game plan for this game for Texas should just be defensively. Hey, just put as many guys toward the line of scrimmage as you can, because Michigan's going to try to force the issue with the run. See if Bryce Underwood can beat you throwing the football. And really, outside of Andrew Marsh, with all due respect to Samaj Morgan and McCauley, none of Michigan's other skill guys really worry me. Do you think that's a solid idea? And what do you want to see from Johnny Nansen today in his one game calling defense?
Yeah. If you're Texas, you have to take away the run. And how do you do that? Is it 3 down defensive linemen? Do you stack the box? Is it single high look just to get another body down there? That has to be the game plan, because like you said, Jeff, I mean, Michigan's very effective running the football. They're top 10 in the country at 5.51 yards per carry. They're top 20 in 10-yard runs, 20-yard runs. I mean, they find explosives via the ground. So if you're Texas, look, make Bryce Underwood beat you. He's a talented quarterback. but they haven't needed his arm to be the reason why they've won games this year, right? Only 3 games of 250-plus passing yards. Force him to be the reason why they ultimately win or lose a game. That's for me. And to that second question, Jeff, about Johnny Nansen, exotic looks from the second and third levels. That was his staple at Arizona when he was the DC. Now he's got some weapons and obviously a light room. How do you then, change up looks and bring extra pressure from beyond just your edges?
Yeah, I think Paxton has it right. Nansen's going to blitz. I think I do not think he has the patience of Job. He's not Pete Kwiatkowski as a coach, in my opinion. I think he's going to blitz early and often and try to shake things up a little bit in his one game calling plays for the Longhorns. Hey, one of the things I wanted to ask all 3 of us on this panel, including CJ, and get to this from Christian Road. Are there any position groups that if they perform well enough in this game and through these practices that will change how the staff attacks the portal? Are there any position groups that y'all think they might change their opinion? I'll start us off. I thought perhaps cornerback going into it, not only with Cade Phillips, but Kobe Black, Warren Roberson, those guys potentially returning. Any other positions for you guys?
My answer is no. My answer is no on that. Because I think with Trey Wisner moving on, there's going to be a need. There's a need for a second portal running back, regardless of what Michael Terry or James Simon or Christian Clark looks like today. It's a depth thing at this point. There's been a lot of injuries in that running back room in the Steve Sarkisian era. So you can't even put, especially with center backs are not bouncing back from the knee like expected to, you can't even put that at risk. So the only way, Bobby, for me, it would be corner was if Will Muschamp was planning to play Grayson Littleton at corner. That's the only thing that would change up corner for me. But I think there's going to be some really talented defensive backs in the portal. There are guys that have already announced, and I don't think Texas is going to miss the opportunity.
Yeah, I was actually thinking safety might be one of those positions that they, depending on what Phil Samia has shown them, and Sark's talked a lot about, even though Jonah's going to be playing baseball this spring, and he's talked a lot about Zella Six's development. I thought maybe, but Jerry, again, that's the Grayson Littleton wild card. I think factors into that too as well. And even then, Bobby, their plan didn't get fully executed because they didn't get him, but I was thinking maybe edge, hey, maybe Zena or Lance Jackson, some of those guys show you something. But even last year, as loaded as they were, they still went after David Bailey in the portal.
Yes.
So I still think, hey, if there's an edge rusher out there that you can go get that is gettable, man, I don't care what you got. The more guys you have that can affect the quarterback, the better.
100%.
There's one that's gone in from Florida, by the way, named Jaden Woods. It's really, really talented young player. Hey, guys, other position that obviously they're going to go after is linebacker. We talked about it all week long, how Jordan Johnson-Rebel, was he 195 pounds, is playing backup middle linebacker for this game. CJ, you went out to several of those media viewing sessions. Were there any other positions other than linebacker where you went, that doesn't look normal, even though Texas has obviously been hit by some attrition? There's going to be some drop off, but were there any other positions where you went like, whoa, that looks a lot different than what it did for Texas?
Well, I think running back is the obvious answer, right? You go out and know C.J. Baxter. Obviously, Trey Wisner did not make the trip to Orlando either. And you're sitting there thinking, hey, this room coming in had a number, probably 2 times as many bodies beginning the season than it did today or this week in practice. So, of course, running back, linebacker come to mind. It's going to be really interesting again. The offensive line going into next year, obviously they had a full group of guys. We got to sit there and watch practice up close and personal when it comes to seeing how they work, what drills they're working on. But, which of these guys do we see at all? Do we see a young guy in the second half to kind of relieve a DJ Campbell or a Cole Hudson, guys who are off to the NFL or, to the pros? And you sit there and say, okay, they've come out, they've played enough. Let's see what we can do against live opposition or a Nate Kibble or anyone really, a Nick Brooks, a Daniel Cruz. It's going to be interesting, but that's another position I'm watching today, just in the off chance that we get to see a young guy.
Yeah. I actually want to ask all 3 of you guys this because Rod and I got this question last night on the live stream. So I want to get your guys' take on it. And I really couldn't come up with one, but piggybacking off what CJ just said, are there any underclassmen offensive linemen that you guys feel are close enough to taking off to where they could have a bigger role on this team, or is it just all in on the portal?
Well, I think that the issue is with that is a lot of times you want 2 years, a redshirt year and another year backup for your guys that really are coming in as developmental players. So am I going to sit here and say Jordan Coleman couldn't make a move from a backup tackle to a guard and compete? I'm not going to say that. Spring practice will determine things like that. And I'm not saying Jordan Coleman is making a move. I'm saying if. But I think Texas really likes those freshman offensive linemen, but that doesn't mean in 2026, which is likely Arch's last year at Texas, you're going to depend on those guys. And I think the developmental cycle for offensive linemen to really build your program the way you want to. And Kyle Flood did speak about this the other day, and I think he was spot on about how offensive line coaches think about it. I'm not sure it's as much a reality anymore. You want those guys to develop a couple of years, and by year 3, they're ready to hit the field and be players because they built up their body, they built up their technique, and they've been going against NFL guys in practice for 2 straight years.
Yeah, I think Jerry nailed that. I really do. I will say the one that might jump the line is Nick Brooks in this category because he played already a little bit this year. But both Coleman brothers, Jackson Christian, Texas really likes them. But really, as you think about this group, you're thinking about Nate Kibbles, you're thinking about Daniel Cruz, and Jaden Chapman and Andre Kojo. Well, Kojo has been with the team this week, but he's still not practicing full because he's recovering from the ACL that he suffered in the fall. But I'm thinking when you ask me that question and talk about that offensive line ready to make the next step, I'm thinking more of the upperclassmen that are going to be those second teamers like Cruz, like Kibble, and potentially like Jaden Chapman right now. And we don't know what's going to happen. CJ, did the hat just blow all the way away, or is it still there? Did you grab it? Were you able to run it down? There you go.
I had to chase it down. This is coming home with me, by the way. So
hey, that's your $25 super chat hat from now on.
That's right. So
yes,
if you want to see me in this bad boy, you know my price.
Hey, let me guys talking about money. Let me pay the bills here real quick. Tito's is our sponsor for the Texas Tailgate today. Tito's Handmade Vodka is a proud sponsor of your Texas Longhorns, distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly. Again, that is Tito's Handmade Vodka, your proud sponsor of the Texas Longhorns, as well as the Tailgate today here at On Texas Football. Thank you, and enjoy it responsibly, especially if you're going out tonight, guys. Time to go. The new saying, by the way, for Tito's, we've got it on our website as well, is "Pour me in, coach. Pour me in, coach." There we go.
CJ, any last words before you take off for the press box?
Hey, good chaser for some Cheetos and some Cheez-Its. So yeah, that's my last word. No, it's been fun. Look, to wrap up 2025, again, a rocky road, but I think you have a fun 26 ahead, especially immediately when the portal begins. That's ultimately where I'm at. I think a lot of valuable lessons were learned by the staff, a lot of growing for a lot of young guys on this roster as well. When you start looking ahead to next season, look, I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic. And of course, we get to see a little taste of that today. That's actually the pun right there. A little taste of 2026 here at the Cheez-It Bowl. But point being, I'm excited for today. One more opportunity to kind of stamp a 10-win season for Texas. That's not nothing, right? So I'm looking forward to that.
CJ, appreciate it. Safe travels going and coming. And, hey, enjoy the game. Enjoy the last one of 2025 today.
Thank you, guys. Happy New Year.
Later, buddy. Thank you.
All right. There
hey,
you go.
Guys. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. I was just thinking this to myself, and he mentioned the term left a bad taste in his mouth, or leave a good taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
Or what you think is going forward. Isn't that really what we're getting at here in this game? Does this, if Texas wins this game, okay, it wasn't exactly the season you want, but you beat A&M, you beat OU, and you have a new defense coordinator. You got a quarterback that you think you believe in, but you lose this game or look bad losing this game. Does that change the narrative around the offseason? There's one game like this. I don't think it's the pendulum of all games for Texas. Like, it's not all or nothing, but there's certainly some second questions or doubts that come up.
I think a lot of it, I'm not even sure it's that you want to win the game. And I've said it all week, even if it doesn't go your way, but you show some really good signs, right? Like there's some young players that really show some good signs, even if the ball doesn't bounce your way or it's the last team to get the ball scores and wins because both teams are without key defenders. There's so many things that can happen in this game. Young guys and ball security at running back for Texas. My concern today in this game. It's what do some of these young pieces look like? That is, I think, a big thing for me is, Lance Jackson will probably play more snaps than he has. And look, even though he's not a young player, what does Brad Spence look like off the ball today? How could that impact next year? How could that impact the way Will Muschamp thinks about his defense moving forward next year? How does Cade Phillips look in extended action? Those are the things I'm looking at with this game today is look, the ball can bounce your way and you win. The ball can not bounce your way and you can lose. Who knows what's going to happen in a game like this with all the opt-outs, but I think it's more what you see from these guys is the thing I'm looking for. Look, Dalen McCutcheon, starter today. This is his first real meaningful action. So those are the things I'm looking for today. And that is going to kind of grab my attention. And I know a lot of people are talking about the running backs. I think it's much more than that. I know people are excited to see Michael Terry or James Simon get more extended action, but it's more the younger defenders for me, because I think that's where the most work is on this team headed in the next year.
Jerry, you mentioned something that is kind of my concern with this game. You look at the 3 ranked wins Texas got this year over OU, over Vanderbilt, and over A&M. Texas didn't turn the ball over in any of those games.
Yeah.
And when you got a lot of young guys, I do worry about ball security. I'm less concerned about, Arch has done a really good job protecting the ball. I'm less concerned about him taking a step back in that regard. But, hey, this is one of those games where, look, Michigan staff in their last hurrah, I mean, who knows what they're going to have for a game plan. I would count on them seeing something defensively, whether it's a look, a coverage, whatever, probably something you haven't seen on film. And they may start out in that. So there may be some time where you need to adjust. But Bobby, to your overall point, I think because they didn't make the playoff, and we've already known we've heard what the portal plan is, and you already made the coordinator change. It may change the perception of where Texas is, but I don't think internally it's going to change their plan one way or the other. What happens today, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I don't think there's a reason to change per se, because the one thing I always go back to, and Jerry knows this, that his dad's a longtime coach. Things in the very rarely is it that the light bulb comes on for a player just in the game.
Right.
You see it start coming on during practice, and coaches feel like they can or can't trust you in practice. That gives you the opportunity in games, right? And so I think that these coaches know what they have a little bit and have a sense for it. Last year, in my opinion, they overestimated a position or two, perhaps. And the difference in change in mentality they have right now.
That was a great thought.
We'll wait for Bobby to get back. Jerry, while we're getting Bobby back, I'll throw this at you that Rod and I talked about on the live stream last night. When you look at this Texas offensive line, and I've kind of mentioned it, it's weird when you think about all the opt-outs and the injuries. That's kind of the one position group out of all these groups, probably along with maybe the Michigan secondary because they've been without Rod Moore for so long. But they're at full strength. And if you look at the game against Michigan last year and sometimes this year, it's not that offensive line hadn't to be overwhelming. They haven't had to be overwhelming to run the ball. I think they just need to do their job well enough to where you have some semblance of balance in this game to help Arch out.
Yeah, for sure. I actually think that's one of the strengths for Texas today, as crazy as this sounds, is they have all 5 starting offensive linemen in this game.
Yeah.
I think that's a strength today for Texas because they have the group that they've been, even though Michigan only has one guy out, that's one guy out. Arch has all 5. When he gets ready to take the first snap of the game and all week, he's seen his 5 starters from the last time he was on the field against A&M on the offensive line. And I think what you said earlier is going to be so key for Michigan today against Texas. How is Wink going to create the pressure today without Derek Moore. He had 10 sacks, double-digit sack guy. I'm not saying he's as good as Colin Simmons, but take Colin Simmons off of Texas, and what does it look like? A double-digit sack guy. You don't just replace those guys with another player. You have to replace them with added pressures. And then Barnum is out at linebacker. He had 4 sacks. That's 14 of their 28 sacks as a team. They're gone. So I think the Texas offensive line may actually turn into a strength in this game, partially because Michigan is missing their key pass rushers, and that's going to force Wink to, I think, take some chances. We know Johnny Nansen's going to be aggressive. I think Wink's going to have to take some chances today. That's why I think this may be a little more high-scoring game. I think there's going to be some big plays out there to be made if the quarterbacks can deliver the ball in the windy conditions.
Bobby, you were rolling before we had the technical snafu. You just want to finish your
pick up right where you left off, Bobby. The exact word.
Yeah, the technical snafu is a routine thing for me apparently in my internet service provider. I will not name that provider at this point, but I'm getting a little upset with them. Look, what I was getting at in that long talk there is, while Texas has an opportunity here in the portal and they're evaluating players today, they've been evaluating them all year. And I think in particular, the last 15 days, given that the portal is about to open in 48 hours, is important. And I think Texas, because they may not have been as aggressive in the portal as they should have been last year, in retrospect, they're not going to be willing to not do that this year. That's not the way they're going to go out. And I can say that because Jerry and I were over at the team hotel, and a lot of the talk over there was portal. You know, what's going to be going on, and how are we going to do it, and this kind of stuff. And so I think that is an absolute imperative. I also think, and I say that hand in hand, retention is still paramount to them as well. 100%. So it's not just one or the other, it's both. And there are going to be some players right now that are in that nether world at Texas that Texas may be trying to recruit over at some level, right? Or bring in over. And so you got to play these two things off one another and see what happens. But I'm a big believer right now in that you see what you see in practice. But I think Texas, as I look at this, I think they're going to be extremely active in the portal starting in 48 hours.
The chat's fired up, Bobby. They think you need to go into the portal and get a new ISP, but that we'll save that discussion for another day. Hey, we got a couple supers to get to, but before we do that, Bobby, one more time, let's go ahead and thank our friends over at Tito's Handmade Vodka.
Yeah, Tito's Handmade Vodka is a proud sponsor of your Texas Longhorns, distilled and bottled by Fifth Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly. Again, that is Tito's Handmade Vodka, an Austin original, proud sponsor of your Texas Longhorns.
All right, let's go ahead and get to a couple super chats before we get out of here. Justin Yarbrough, thank you for the super chat. It says, let's bleep and go, fellas. For the seniors playing their last game in the burnt orange, and for the last time, thank you, and let's go out the right way. Yeah, Jerry, we talk about that offensive line. I mean, it's a lot. DJ Campbell's been around here for a long time. Cole Hudson's been around here for a long time. Those guys were blocking for Bijan Robinson at one point. They're done today. Even some of the transfers, Cole Brevard, Travis Shaw, Bobby, both you guys, we've been around this long enough. It's a different vibe for those seniors when they walk out of that tunnel and realize, hey, this is probably the last time you're going to put the pads on ever.
Yeah, I mean, some of them it will be the last time they really put the pads on. Obviously, guys like DJ Campbell have aspirations to go, in the NFL, et cetera. But going out the right way, going out strong is something that everybody should want for this season. Texas does not have many seniors playing today overall compared to other programs around the country today and tomorrow. They just don't. You mentioned Hudson. You mentioned Campbell. Connor Robertson obviously walked on senior day. So did Hero Canoe. We're hearing he's maybe coming back next year, though. But Shaw, Brevard, Ethan Burke opted out. Leon Galfau, portal. I mean, there's just not a ton of seniors. Michael Taft not going to play. There's not a ton of seniors on this team, but to your point, Jeff, the ones that are, it's a very special moment for them.
Yeah. Trey Moore and Jalen Gilbo, a couple of other seniors that are opt-outs. Hey, real quick, before we get to this last super, Jerry, I'll start with you. Jack Injuries has a decision to make. He's going to make it after the bowl game. If you're Sark, you get a couple more targets his way, make him think about what could be going on in 26.
I don't think you do that. I think you just gotta play to win the game wherever that takes you. I think Jack Indry's decision will be independent of how his day goes probably today. I think he's just going through this process right now. So I think Sark, like Michigan, has to do whatever they want or ever they have to win the football game today. I don't think you can go into the game thinking like that necessarily. I think if Jack Indry has a big day, if he has his best game as a Longhorn, goes 7 for 99, well, that's going to be impressive to NFL people too. I mean, so I think that goes both ways. Here's the question I have for y'all real quick. I said on Coffee and Football this morning, and I'm not necessarily saying 8 to 10 design runs. I think we may see a little more quarterback design run for both guys today because there is no game next week and there is no game again until August for these guys. I think you might see maybe more Michigan with Underwood. Do y'all think we see a little more QB run game today, though? Because these guys do want to win this football game. And I'm not saying they're going to put Arch Manning in harm's way, but if Wink Martindale's bringing blitz numbers, there's going to be opportunities there.
He is your most proven commodity in the run game. So if the object is to win the game, then yeah, you probably do.
I think we're going to see Underwood more in the run game today. They're going to they're going to see what the Texas linebackers have. How many false steps they can create today.
Jerry, I'll add to that too. I think, let's not forget Justice Haynes has opted out of this game. And even if he hadn't officially, he's had the foot injury. I didn't know how much he was going to play. Jordan Marshall's coming off a shoulder injury. He kind of said earlier in the week, hey, it's getting better. See where it is during game time. And then a really big piece of their run game, Max Bredesen. If you watch Michigan in the last couple of years, Max Bredesen's a really big part of their run game. He hadn't been around and won't play in this game because of a foot injury. So it's not like they're missing an all Big Ten guard too that's opted out. So this Michigan run game is still good. And I've seen, you go back and watch the Oklahoma game, the first play of the second half, they had 7 offensive linemen on the field. Like not like jumbo tight ends, no, 7 legit offensive linemen. So they'll come up with creative ways to try to run the ball, but it's not like this Michigan run game is at full strength either.
I would push just comments on 2 things y'all said. First of all, run game for the quarterbacks. I agree with y'all that we will see more QB runs for Michigan. I don't think there's any way we see more than 1 or 2 called quarterback runs for Texas. And I'm quarterback sneaks notwithstanding, okay? But truly designed QB runs for Texas, 1 to 2 at most, in my opinion. As it relates to Jack Indry's and Jeff's question, look, I mean, Michigan's lost one of their big linebackers. That certainly could mean that the tight end has a little bit better of a day potentially in that getting down the seam. I think you might see a little bit more Jack Indry's today, actually. And I don't know if that's going to – I don't necessarily think that's designed to get him to return next season, because I actually saw his parents last night at the deal we did down in downtown Orlando, Jerry and Jeff. And his dad said, look, Jack's still weighing his options, trying to figure everything out. And so everything that we've reported, right? And I think that, I don't know that a good game, it could push him more to the NFL, right? Because then he has more catches and more reps this year as opposed to next year. I think that's one of the reasons why Texas, if Jack Indry goes to the NFL, Texas will go to the portal for a tight end, is my thought process. But look, we'll see. Arch Manning, I think the one good thing is that he has developed some rapport with his existing receiver group yet again, and I hope to keep that going a little bit today.
For sure. All right, got a couple more supers before we get out of here. Catch the Wave, thank you for the super chat. Says, Happy New Year, fellas. After Sark's press conference, do you think his comments about scholarships and NFL experience hint at Texas moving forward with a smaller roster, 60 or fewer players, because of NIL? Bobby, we've talked a lot about this, talked about it during signing day. You're just going to have the back end of your recruiting class. It's going to be a lot of developmental type guys that get little to no rev share. That's how you're going to fill out that roster.
Yeah, so I saw Jerry shaking his head, and the answer here is yes and no.
Yeah.
Okay. I definitely could see the money being spread between 55 to 65 players.
Yeah.
and the 105 being more like, and I'm not going to say 40 walk-ons, but 40 guys that are scholarship guys that are trying to get into that top 55 or 60 on your roster.
Yeah.
And so I do think you could see a, what do you call it? A clumping of the money guys, NIL guys going down to 55 or so on your roster, but not necessarily changing your overall roster number.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, it's I don't have any delusions of grandeur.
I don't ever see a 65 man, like that's all you have at the University of Texas or Michigan or Ohio State in terms of players. That's not going to work. Seasons are too long in college football now, and these aren't professional athletes. They're paid like it, some of them, but they're not pros yet. Their bodies aren't there yet.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bobby.
I was going to say Iowa State's down to 17 players total on their roster currently because of the portal. You know, imagine 17 players total. So you can't, to Jerry's point, with the portal, you can't be too light.
No.
I mean, you have 30 guys. If you're at 55 guys on your roster and you go down to, you lose 30 in the portal, you're going to play a Cheez-It Bowl with 25 kids. There's a give and take there, right? But I do think you can clump your NIL allocation.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, I think the number I saw, Bobby, for Iowa State, not just seniors that don't have eligibility, but guys that legitimately have eligibility going to the portal. I think 47 was the last number I saw. And like you said it, Bobby, Jerry, you did too. The truth is somewhere in the middle. You're not going to go with a 60-man roster. This also isn't going to be like Coach Royal in the pre-85 scholarship era where you bring in like 60 guys in August and kind of let the war of attrition whittle them down. The truth is somewhere in the middle. That's where reality is. Last super chat we got, Ohio Bucks, Texas Horns. Thank you for the super chat. Said, why isn't the portal open in February? Teams are still playing on Friday. There are opt-outs and there are portal declarations to be made. Start of the spring semester is my first indication.
That's the whole thing. It's all the academic calendar, even though, I mean, people can say, what does that even matter anymore? Well, it's the academic calendar is what that is, your classes normally begin mid-January. Your last drop dates are shortly after that, right? The last drop adds. Just from an academic standpoint, at all these universities, you could not do February for a portal.
All right, guys. Final thoughts. Bobby, start with you on the game, the portal, anything as we wrap up our last tailgate of 2025.
I think it's been a fun season, and I was talking about it with some folks last night and with some players' parents at our deal. I just think it's been a fun season. It hasn't been exactly what you wanted all the way through, but Texas is a talented roster. This is Sark's 5th full year. I think the team is looking like it's supposed to look like at a place like Texas when you're in year 5. Is it perfect? No. And so I think that there's a lot of excitement around the program, a lot of excitement about where it can go. I do believe that this is a little bit of a referendum on exactly where Texas, this game is a little bit of a referendum on exactly where Texas is. Can Texas beat Michigan with virtually its almost second team defense? I mean, that's what you're really outside of Colin Simmons. I mean, it ain't, it's most of these guys had not started all year long. Jelani McDonald. So that's one piece of it. If they're able to, I think that gives them a lot of jump start into 2026. And it gives Texas 3 consecutive 10-win seasons for the first time since what, 08, 09, 2010, or what, 7, 8, 9?
And I know people act like that's not a big deal, but if you win this game today, you do finish probably 9 or 10 in the final poll. And those things matter at universities. I mean, it matters when you look back on it in 15 years. And it does matter still in recruiting. I mean, I'm down here at the Under Armour All-America game on Media Day check-in yesterday. And, if you ask 80 kids outside of NIL, what's most important, it's relationship with position coach and winning. Winning always matters in recruiting. Always. That will never change.
Yep. I've said it before. I'll say it again. This team, Bobby, to your point, it's been a fun season. It's been a frustrating season at times. This team has reminded me a lot of the 2007 team that had a ton of talent and had some frustrating games. But if you remember how that season ended, they went to play Arizona State in the Holiday Bowl, a really good Arizona State team, and pretty much ran them off the field. And then Mac Brown hires Will Muschamp, and that Holiday Bowl set up the run in 08 and 09. I know the roster's different and you're depleted, and it's going to change a lot between now and the time they get back in January. But hopefully maybe we see this start to be maybe the genesis of one of those runs that Texas can enjoy, a nice 2-year run here. Hey, thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks for everybody that dropped in a super chat this morning as we see the team walking in, getting ready for the Citrus Bowl. Big thank you to Tito's for sponsoring the Tailgate Show and their sponsorship of our Tailgate Show all season. Big thank you to Matthew behind the scenes for producing this. Thank you to CJ Vogel for joining us live on site from the Citrus Bowl. Thank you to Jerry. Jerry, you got Under Armour stuff today. I know. What can everybody look forward to it on TexasFootball.com later?
We have to watch with us coming up at 2 p.m. I will exit that, I think, around the start of the fourth quarter to go over to the first Under Armour practice. That's under the lights tonight. It can be a little chilly, but it'll be fun. So I'll be reporting on that. I'll have a thread on that, photos from that, so you guys can see what the Texas signees look like in pads and targets look like in pads, a lot different than in the sweat tops. So we'll be reporting on that after, and obviously after the game, Bobby and Rod will have the post game, and we'll have more reactions to the game, obviously on Thursday, and some reactions to the season throughout the weekend, along with a lot of portal action.
If this is the last chance you have a chance to watch on Texas football this year because you're going to be busy watching the game, or you got plans tonight, I just want to say thank y'all to everybody for a great 2025. Really a lot to be thankful for. Appreciate everything that's going on. And Cisco Diaz says, hot cocoa with Tito's, Jerry. That sounds like one for tonight. Hope everybody enjoys the game, has a good time, and is ready to go because Longhorns got Michigan here in about 2 hours.
Hey, Texas started the calendar year with a win and a bowl game. We'll see if they can end the calendar year with a win and a bowl game. For CJ, for Jerry, for Bobby, for Matthew, for the entire On Texas football staff, I'm Jeff Howe. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. And until a few hours from now when we start the watch with us.
Hook 'em Horns.